When we look at the fact that he is admitting these losses, we also have been talking almost since the very start of this war, when Russia invaded Ukraine, about the low morale, about the poor training among Russian troops. They are still carrying out orders. Is there a point that you see any of that changing?
It's a great question, Erica. And, the estimates that we're hearing from the British, from the United States, from some outside groups, is that Russia has suffered 200,000 casualties and maybe upwards of 60,000 of those dead. And to put that in perspective, that's more dead than we lost in the entire Vietnam War. It's more dead than, or more casualties, I should say, than the Russians have had in all of the conflicts they've been in since the end of World War II that we know of, or that we can count. So this has been enormously expensive for him. I think what you have seen him do now is both play to his base, the intelligence services, the FSB here, which both guards the border and also manages to do a lot of the operations, as he said, behind enemy lines. I think the other thing that's really notable is that in the past few days, he has talked about a program within the West to dismantle the entire Russian Federation. Mm-hmm. Now, that's completely fanciful. It's total disinformation. There's no such plan that I've been able to find, and I think that our CNN colleagues have found. But it tells you that he's got to get a very nationalist operation going here to make the case that this is about more than Ukraine.
Yeah, it speaks to a certain level of desperation, really, when you put it in that perspective. I'm also struck by Putin recently announcing, of course, that he's suspending the only remaining nuclear arms treaty between Russia and the U.S., the New START treaty, which would expire in 2026. How do you think the U.S. should be preparing at this point?
Well, I think we've got to prepare with the thought that there will be no follow-on treaty. And the treaty, as you said, expires in February 2026. We have 3 years. It's hard for me to imagine, Erica, a negotiation with Russia on a replacement treaty. And the way the old treaty was written, there's no more extension. It was a 5-year extension that President Biden did in his first few days in office. Getting to the new treaty would be difficult enough if it was just with Russia. But it's pretty clear that China is building up its nuclear forces to a point that the treaty, to make sense, would probably have to include them as well, though there are some who dispute that case. I think we have to go into it with the assumption that we're going to be living for the first time in 5 decades with no nuclear arms limitations on Russia and the United States. Does that mean that we need to go off into an immediate arms race? Not necessarily. I think we probably have plenty to do what we need to do. But there will be a lot of pressure and a lot of political debate in the coming presidential election, I suspect, about whether or not we need to trigger a new arms race.
And also, as you point out, that important element of China, if something else were to move forward. I do want to get your take on this. Ukraine, as we know, has continued to ask for F-16s. I was struck by some comments yesterday, the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee telling CNN they could be a real game changer, in his estimation, in this war, saying it's time for the administration to stop dragging its feet and, in his words, to, quote, arm Ukraine to the fullest. Is he right?
Well, this was a huge source of debate at the Munich Security Conference, where there were about 50 members of Congress out in Munich weekend before last, including a good number of Republicans and some Democrats making this argument. Here's the problem. The issue is an escalation one. If the Ukrainians have F-16s, they can reach Moscow. And that could easily be used as an excuse by Putin to escalate, to make more nuclear threats, and so forth. So the administration's argument is, right now, at this stage of the war, there's no need for the F-16s. The middle ground, since it takes a long time to train Ukrainian pilots to fly the F-16, they don't have anything like it, would be to start their training now and make the decision later, because it would take a while, in any case, for them to be able to fly them.
David Sanger, always appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Great to be with you, Erica.